Hey everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another Estes rocket build video. Today we're going to be attacking the Estes Viking. This is a unique design in that it is very customizable. They give you a cardstock with 5 fins on it, but you can do 3, 4, or 5 fins. You could have the fins attached at any one of those 4 sides, facing upward, facing downward, or both. Total of 48 fin configurations. But I'm going to build it, knowing me, face card. However, I'm going to build it with the fins facing down. To me, that's just a little bit easier for it to stand upright and without it tipping over. So I'm going to be building it with the fins facing down, but basically the same color scheme. Yeah, it's a BT-20 rocket with a runs on the 18mm motors. Your A's up to your C's, and very similar to its cousin, the Wizard. This will go over 1,600 feet. And again, if you've got really good eyes, go for it. Otherwise, you might want to stick with the A's and B's. So without any further ado, let's get the bag open and inventory the items and get right to work on the Estes Viking. Okay, now that we've got everything out of the bag, we're going to do a quick inventory, and there's not a whole lot to this rocket, so the inventory should go pretty quick. But first off, we'll take the body tube. Then we've got our cardboard fins. Now it does come with 5. You can build this in 3, 4, or 5 fin configurations. We're going to do the 5, so we'll use all of these. We have the little green engine block. Oops. We've got our rubber shock cord. We've got our nose cone and the insert. We've got our launch lug. We've got our yellow spacer tube. We've got our streamer. And not shown on the inventory sheet, but we do have our set of decals that we will decorate the rocket with after the painting's done. So that wraps up the inventory. We're going to clear the board and we're going to start the building process. Okay, before we hit step number 1, there are a couple things I want to go over with you. And these are things that I typically do before I build any rocket. First and foremost, the body tube. Before I start gluing things onto it, such as the fins or the launch lug or any serious work on it, I like to fill in these spiral grooves. So what I like to do is take this outside, spray it with gray primer, and then immediately wipe it off with lacquer thinner. And what that'll do is it'll leave the primer in the grooves. And 2 or 3 coats of that should fill those in pretty well. So I'm going to go out and do that before we begin construction. Also, the nose cone, they want you to glue this in right away. I prefer not to. I like to be able to insert a dowel into my nose cone for painting purposes. So I won't glue the insert in until after it's painted and done. And one other thing I want to show you, the spacer tube, what I like to do is I poke a hole on either end, 1/4 inch down from the end, and that is so when I insert my engine block, instead of trying to stop the engine spacer at a certain point, the toothpicks will actually stop it automatically for me, and then I can retract it just as easily. So this is something I do. This is actually not the one that came in the kit. This is one that I built a long time ago, and I just continually use it over and over again. So once you build one of these, you won't have to build another one. But if you do get extras, like the one in the kit, you may want to maybe make the holes down at the 1/8 inch mark or 3/4, just whatever. But you can make a variety of different sizes using the tubes and toothpicks. So those are the things I'm going to do off camera, is get this painted and get this filled in, and then we'll come back and start actual construction on the rocket. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mark up the body tube as to where to glue the fins and the launch lug. And as you can see here, the body tube has been primered. I filled in the spiral grooves with the primer and then cleared it off with lacquer thinner. That technique seems to work really well. This is 3 coats that I applied, and I think it's ready to go. Now, as you know, I don't like to cut out my original instruction book, so I photocopy everything I can. So I photocopied the templates off the front page to where it indicates where the fins go. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay the body tube on top of this template, and without moving it, we're going to make notch marks at each of these arrows where the fins are going to go. So kind of work around the camera here. There's one. Here's the launch lug. Sorry if my head was blocking, but I had to see to the backside. Okay, I'm going to attempt the impossible. I'm going to use my left hand. Oh, that is tough. Okay, so there, we've made 5 marks, including our launch lug mark, so 6 total. And then I'm going to use my Estes tube marking guide. I'm going to lay it in here, and I'm just going to line one of the notch marks up and just draw a line down the tube. Now the launch lug, which is this one here, I'm going to extend it further because I'm going to want to use the line as a reference to where the lug's going. So I'm going to extend this one pretty high up. Okay. Here's another fin. And our final fin. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, just kind of give it a sight down the length of the tube to verify they're parallel. As you can see, they are. Okay, so that wraps up our tube marking guide. Now we're going to get to installing our engine block. And the reason I'm going to do the block before the fin installation is because working with that engine block and the spacer guide that I use, if the fins are here, they might be in the way. So I like to get the engine block in first. Okay, so here's going to be an example of how my technique goes. As I mentioned earlier, the instructions call for making a mark at the 1/4 inch mark from the tip of the spacer tube, and then it's kind of relying upon you to excuse me, to stop at that line and then pull it out. Well, you know, that's not always precise. Sometimes you might actually overpush. If you overpush, then your engine block is too deep and it's going to be very hard to, you know, get it to move back. So that's why I prefer using this spacer with the toothpick, because it only goes so far and then it's easy to retract. So I'm going to take some wood glue. Let's see, I'm going to use a Q-tip to apply it, and it's about the length of one Q-tip. So that's where I'm going to apply the glue, right here. Okay, we'll do another application. Okay, we'll take our engine block, get it started. Okay, then take our spacer. Okay, we're just going to push it in nice and slow until it stops and pull it right out. That's all there is to it. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a little bit and we'll come back and we're about ready to glue the fins on. Okay, now that the engine mount has dried up in the aft end of the tube, it's time to install the fins. And like I said, we've decided that we're going to put all 5 fins on, although you can do a 3 or 4 fin configuration. So we're going to cut all 5 fins out of the template. Go ahead and take sharp X-Acto. We'll just hit them all through these little tabs here. Okay, we'll see how good a job we did. Yeah, they sort of fall out, yeah. Okay, so first off, we want to get them all aligned with one another. And get them all evened out. And I'll set the tube aside for a second. I want to bring in a sheet of sandpaper. This is 320. And we're just going to run them down the sandpaper to sand off those little nubs. Okay, and we'll do all 4 sides. And now just the little root tip has a little nub on the corners. There. Okay, now there is no requirement to sand the leading edge of the cardboard. However, I will say, from what we just sanded, it did put a little bit of a burr on the edge. So let me bring the the sheet back in, and we're just going to kind of just scrape the corners, and that gets them down nice and smooth. So just the leading edge, we're going to take off that burr. This is like spreading peanut butter on your bread. There we go, nice. All right, now we're going to bring the body tube in. And I'm going to take a little piece of sandpaper and we're going to scuff up the right side of each line, because I'm going to glue the fins to the right side of the line. I like to use the line as a reference. I'll go ahead and sand from our lunch lug as well. Now off camera I did measure and make a mark for the launch lug. You want to measure 2 inches up from the aft end of the tube up on the launch lug line. So I made a little notch. That's going to be the bottom of the launch lug. Okay, so got everything else scuffed up already. Okay. Okay, let me bring in my wood glue. And this is such a thin piece, it's not going to take much here. We're going to put just the thinnest amount of, in fact, let me go ahead and get my paper towel ready to go here. Okay, we're going to put just the thinnest amount on the root edge. That's even probably too much. Okay. Okay, we're going to lay it in position. Pick any one. And we're going to lay it down flush with the bottom of the tube and the bottom of the fins. Press it down, roll it, and remove it. Now we're going to let that sit for about a minute to dry or tack up. In the meanwhile, we can, in fact, let me get my cradle to help hold that for us. Okay, we'll bring in fin number 2. Okay. Okay, same thing. We're going to lay it down flush with the bottom of the tube and adjacent to that line. Press it down, roll it, and remove it. Okay, by now, 1 has tacked up. So we can go back to number 1, lay it in position and press it down. And it holds its form. Tell you what I'm going to do. I've never done this before. I'm going to put the spacer tube in just to stiffen up that tube a little bit. Better yet, if you had a motor you could use, that would be even better to make it stiff, but you want some pressure when you push in. So, okay, but we got that fin perpendicular to the tube. That's what we want. Oh. Yeah, it's a lot thinner, so holding this in position is going to take maybe a little bit more glue than I've been using. Okay. That's probably been long enough for number 2. Let me get number 2 in. And we'll go back and address number 1. Yeah, I'll admit I'm not seeing a lot of glue on the surface. So let me go back and redo 1 and 2, and we'll get caught up on the rest of the 5. Okay, quick update on these fins. What I've discovered is because they're so thin, kind of like when you glue a launch lug on, you don't need to remove it. They're so lightweight and thin. Just one application of glue, stick it on, and it holds. So you can see they're holding now just fine. So let me go back and show you. We can do the same with 3, 4, and 5, simple enough. Put that little fine bead down there. And then after we get it on, we can come back and clean up any that squeezes out with the Q-tip. Okay, so we'll lay this one in position. Lay it down, press it firmly. Okay, and it's pretty much already holding. Eyesight to get it straight. Okay. And we'll take our Q-tip and we'll just kind of wipe, see the excess that squeezes out. I'm just going to wipe that off with the Q-tip very lightly. Okay. And see, it's already holding just fine. So there's 3. And we'll do 4 and 5 the same way. I'm going to get another Q-tip out that's a little cleaner. Learning on the go, as they say. Now if you put too much in, it's like pouring water on it, and it makes it too runny, and it takes longer to dry. So you got to find that happy medium of too much and not enough. See, this one's slipping and sliding on me. Okay. Okay, one more. Okay, so look from above, make sure it looks like a perfect star. They're all equally angled at, I believe it's 72 degrees. And that gives us what we want. So we're just gonna let that sit and dry now. I'm not gonna touch it for a little bit. Once they're holding strong and tight, we're gonna come back in and do our fillets. And we'll be right back for that here in a bit. Okay, now we're going to glue some fillets into the fins. All 5 have dried nicely. They came out pretty darn good if you ask me, but we need to strengthen them. As they are, they flex. They're a little bit on the weak side right now, and so we're going to put some fillets in. And I just discovered this new technique of using the Titebond Quick and Thick multi-surface glue. It's like Titebond 2, like the wood glue, but this comes out much thicker and heavier, and it doesn't run. It does dry quickly, so once you lay the bead down, you got to wipe it pretty quick, and you don't have a whole lot of time beyond that. But it doesn't run, so you can put it in any direction, and it's going to stay put. It dries clear, which is a little bit different. You just have to kind of have faith that it's in good shape until you put the primer coat down, and then you'll be able to actually see the fillets. But we're going to do one at a time. So there's 5 fins, 2 per fin, so we got 10 to do. I'm just going to lay a bead down in the gap, and then I'm going to probably have to use my pinky to pull it through, just like so. Okay, we'll come to this side. And don't push into the fillet. Just pull your finger across it, because you'll probably end up knocking the fin off if you push too hard. So just drag your finger across, and it'll sort of just take care of itself. So far, these are coming out really nice. I'll round that leading edge just a tad. Maybe a little bit on this one. See, it's already hardened though, that's the thing, so you can't really manipulate it much after you've already laid it down, but that's okay, they came out all right. Okay, we're past halfway. So far, so good. Want to keep your fingers clean because you don't want to drag old residue into the fillet. Okay. Just a few more to go. Also, the pressure that you apply to the fillet will determine how thick a fillet it is. If you push too hard, it's just going to flatten it out, and it's not going to be much fillet. So actually the less pressure you put on it, the thicker the fillet will remain, and then ultimately the stronger that joint will become. Okay, final one. And this stuff does dry, like I said, very quickly, so we're not going to have to wait too long before we can start with the launch slug and doing some other things to the body tube. Okay, beautiful. All right, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to set the rocket down, and we're going to let it dry for maybe 30 minutes or so, just to harden up, and then we'll come back and get to the launch slug. Okay, the fillets have set long enough where they're not going anywhere, and they're really not going anywhere anyway due to this quick drying time and how thick they are. So we can go ahead and take our launch slug. Now, one thing to note, I do have the 2-inch mark made right here on the tube. But if you remember how we glued all the fins just to the right of the lines, we have to do the same thing with the launch lug to keep everything even and symmetrical within these two fins. So I'm going to lay it on the line. I'm going to roll it a little bit over to the right, and we'll eyeball it from behind and make sure that we have it right between these two fins. Okay, so let me take my regular wood glue. Very thin line. Okay, we're going to lay it on the line initially, and then roll it a little bit to the right. Okay, overhead, that looks pretty good from this vantage point. Okay, I'm going to look from behind, make sure we're between two fins, which we are. Hopefully you can see that on camera. We are directly between these two fins here, and we're parallel with the body tube. And you can verify that by looking down, kind of like looking down a rifle scope. Okay, so that is set up. I'm going to leave it horizontal because with this glue it could possibly roll a little bit and move. So we're going to let that tacken up and harden, and then we're going to come in and put some fillets on here, and then this thing's about ready for paint. Okay, now that the launch lug has dried, I'm going to go ahead and do fillets on it as well. That way it can harden up and give more contour and strength to it. So same process, I'm going to take my Titebond Quick and Thick. I did lay a piece of masking tape in front of and behind the lug. That way I can drag the glue onto something other than the rocket itself. Okay, let me get my paper towel ready. Okay, so we're just going to lay a bead down in that fillet. We're going to make it a little bit thicker than normal, only because it has a pretty deep crevice it's got to fill. Okay, and then we'll just run our finger again lightly down it. You know, it actually has the consistency of a little bit maybe thinner than peanut butter, but not much. Okay, there we go. I'm going to have to do this pretty quick because I need to get that front tape off quickly. Before it starts to harden on me. Okay, let's go ahead and peel that off. And I'll clean up any residual with a Q-tip. Not too bad, actually. Oh, there's a little bit on the top of the tube there. White glue and it dries clear. It's really hard to see on a white rocket. But there, I think we got it all. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. Let me peel this one off as well. And I'm going to take this out once everything's dry and start the priming and painting. So the next time you see this rocket, it will be completely painted. But then we can come back in and do the decals together, install the shock cord and streamer, and the nose cone will have been painted by then, and we still need to glue on its insert. So still a few steps to take, but we're getting awfully close to the finish line here. Okay, as you can see, the Viking is painted. It took the paint really nice. I did put a coat of gray primer down, followed by white primer, followed by the gloss yellow. And for the nose cone, I've got gloss green. And now, because the paint's on it and it's all dry, we can go ahead and glue on our insert. So let me show you how to do that. Just take some plastic cement. I'm gonna get a paper towel because this stuff loves to run. See, it's already starting to ooze out. But I'm just gonna lay a bead right on the inside shoulder of the nose cone. And take our insert, place it in there, and just twist it to help spread the glue around. There, it's already starting to catch. I can feel it resisting. Okay, so we're going to let that sit and dry for a little bit. And in the meanwhile, we can go ahead and get our shock cord built up and installed. So to do that, take the cutout that's in the instructions, or do like I do and photocopy the instruction page and then cut this out. That way I keep the instructions intact. That's just a personal preference. Do what you like. So the way I like to do it is I flip it over. I'm going to do it over the paper towel actually to keep things clean. I have it inverted, and then just spread glue over 1, 2, and 3. And then with your finger, just kind of smear it all over, spread it like you're putting peanut butter on bread. Okay. Then take your elastic band, and I lay it over 2 and 3 first, up to the line between 1 and 2, just like that. And then I'm going to put just a little bit more glue, wrong glue, should get that out of the way, on the cord itself, but not too much. And then we're going to fold 1 over 2. And then 2 over 3. Just like that. And then press it out and make it as flat as you possibly can. Now the instructions call for putting this down the body tube at least 1 inch. You definitely want it to clear the length or depth of the shoulder of the nose cone. But I play it safe. I just put it as far down as I can. So now that that's all glued up, we can go ahead and put more glue on this side. Okay, we'll spread it around. Okay. We're going to take our body tube. You definitely don't want to touch the body tube with dirty fingers. So I'm going to take the tube and we're going to slide this down. Again, at least 1 inch, but I say go as far as you can. Flip it over and then press down and put resistance against it on the side of the tube. Okay, now we'll look down and see if we cannot see the mount, then we're good. So, yep, it's flat up against the sidewall, so we are good there. Okay, then we can take this. Let's see if this is dried yet. Oh yeah, it's already secured. It's locked up. So now before, well actually, yeah, let's do this first. There are many ways of attaching your shock cord, and I'm not going to tell you one way is better than the other. I should say different ways of attaching your streamer to the shock cord. But I like to just put a loop in it closer to the nose cone end than the rocket body. And that'll be what we tie our streamer onto. Now this end is what we will attach to our nose cone. Okay, and I'm going to do a double knot on this. Okay, and to prevent this little tail here from getting caught up in the shoulder as you slide this in the body tube, I'm going to snip it back to, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. About like that. And then just take a small dab of wood glue. You don't want super glue because that's too brittle. Just a dab of wood glue and kind of massage it into the knot. That'll keep this from ever wanting to undo itself. Okay. Okay, we'll take our rocket and, well, you know what? Now's the time we can go ahead and attach our streamer. So go ahead and take your streamer. route it through that loop that we made. Again, there's as many as the number of modelers there are exactly that many number of ways of attaching parachutes and streamers to rockets. This just happens to be the way I do it, but you do it however you feel comfortable. So putting a double knot in the streamer. Okay. And then I like to fold mine over, then double it again, and double it over once again. And then at about this point, you just start to roll it like that. And this is temporary, of course. If we were actually going to fly it, we would put wadding in there first, and we would do a little bit cleaner job of folding up the shock cord. But run the streamer down there, tuck in our shock cord. And there we have it. Okay, now I'm going to get the decals out, and we're going to put some decals on this and make it pretty. Okay, I've gone ahead and cut out all the decals, and when we're looking at the rocket, we want to situate it in such that the launch lug is behind us, but we want to see it as it is on the face card. So this is the view of the face card, and we do have a stripe right here on this fin, and I'm going to put another one on this fin, only because I don't really know where else to put it, but that's again facing front with the launch lug to the rear and canted off to the side a little bit. So I'm going to place one of these decals like this right there, like that. Now when I put on decals, what I like to do is start the peel back, but I don't peel the whole decal off. I'm going to pull it back a little bit, and I'm going to snip off maybe a 1/4 inch at the most. Okay, and of the backing, and I'm going to kind of fold it up and roll it back so it's not going to touch, and I want to place it in position like this so it's where I want it to be. Then once it's where I want it, then I can go ahead and press it down. Let's see, let me shift that over just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now I'm going to press that exposed part down. Okay, now it's in position. Now I can lift this tip up. Oh, come on. And then just let the backing peel off and press it as we go, and that'll help press out any air bubbles or wrinkles until it just pops right off. And there we go. So there's one fin, and then I wanted to put the other one on this fin right here, but it's again all personal preference, up to you. It's your rocket, you decorate it the way you want. You know, a change of plans. This decal's facing the other way, so it's gonna have to go. Let's see, how can I do this? I can actually put it there, but the face card doesn't show it there. Tell you what, let's put it here. That's, yeah, that's somewhat symmetrical on it, as close as we can be expected, I guess. Okay, again, we'll snip off about a 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm going to roll it so it won't immediately touch. And we're going to place it right here. Okay, so we'll just kind of fit it into position. That looks good. And then we'll just press that little tip down. we'll just lift and press it out to the end. Just like so. Perfect. Okay, so again, this is our front. Even though the launch lug is canted off a little bit to the side, our front is in between these two fins right here. So that'll be our reference. Okay, now I'm going to take my arrows and let's place, let's see, I'm going to have to work around the launch lug. Yeah, I'm going to lay it just right. Okay, so we're going to put it between these two fins. Oop, let me snip off the tip here I missed. Okay. Same thing, I want to peel back just a little bit of the backing. Okay, and kind of roll it out. Okay, we're going to put it, like I said, in between these two fins. We want to get it parallel to the tube. Let's scoot it up just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Press it into place. Kind of side it from behind. Looks good. So I'm just going to roll it off the backing and just press as I go. And there we have it. Okay. Now the other arrow is going to go in line with this fin, which I think will be actually easier to install. So we'll do the same thing. Get the right length. Let me get some foot bend to it. Okay, that's where we want it. So lay it down and press as we push out. And there we have it. We've got our two arrows. Beautiful. Okay, now we've got the two squares, which are going to go just below and in between. So this one's going to go right under the launch lug. This one's probably small enough. I'm just going to do it all in one fell swoop. Okay, and we'll get the other side. We're not dealing with symmetry. If we had 4 fins or 6, things would be a lot easier, but we're dealing with 5 fins, a launch lug that's off center, so we're dealing with a lot of little different things here. So I'm going to set this one here. There we go. Okay, and the word Viking, I'm going to put right below the green arrows. For this, I'm actually going to grab my tweezers. We're going to place it right under the stripe. Okay, and this one will go on this side. There we go. All right, well, that was tedious, but that completes the build of the Estes Viking rocket. Again, so many options when you build this rocket with the numbers of fins, the configurations of fins, the angle of the fin, same with the decals. Of course, you can technically color any color you choose. I just choose to go with the face card as best as possible. There you have it, the completed Viking. I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the build, and if you're building one, I hope this was an assistance to you. And until the next time we see each other on the next build video, God bless and happy flying.